All right. Hi, I'm Jaycee from A Life Divided, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. I'm Bruce. This is my partner, Rena, all the way from Finland.
Hi. Nice
Drinking
meeting you.
beer.
I appreciate you having me.
No worries at all. So,
Our
for
pleasure.
those not familiar with a light divided, we could just jump right in. Can you give us the 2-sentence elevator boardroom pitch?
Oh man, I'm not sure. Let's see. High energy rock and roll with, good to listen to in the car with the windows down, driving down the highway. That's my vibe.
I think that's a
Nice.
good explanation, right? Because I listened to Rain, and my first instinct was to crank that sucker up because it's so well produced and well written.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's kind of the vibe I was going for. It's an element of sadness, but trying to spin it into something a little bit more lighthearted.
Right. Rena?
Well, so tell me more about the band. Like, how did you guys end up together? How long have you been together? What's
Uh,
what's
I
up?
I started this band forever ago, back in like 2007 when I was 19 years old and had absolutely no idea what I was doing. It was my first real band. So I've kind of just started that with our drummer Adam and just kind of been, going through life lessons, trying to figure out what I wanted the band to be, where I wanted it to go, and just kind of riding the wave. And poof, here we are. I think we finally got to a point where I know what I'm doing, sort of, maybe. I don't know. You tell me. But
Well, I would say you know what you're doing if you've got 2.8 million Spotify streams and you hit number 9 on Billboard, right? So
yeah,
you must know what you're doing.
slowly figuring it out. Like I said, it's been a learning process. And, like the first, like at least half of my career was, just playing at every bar that would have us, just having fun, being an angsty teen. And, it wasn't until our most recent album, the Choose Your Own Adventure one, that I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to take this seriously and try to get it to the next level.
Right. So, Rain, you mentioned it, and I had it in my notes here. Rain is definitely has a deep topic, and it's very
Yeah.
emotional. But we talk about mental health on this show quite a bit. I mean, it
Oh,
covers
great.
a lot. So, can you tell us what it was like writing Rain? Why you wrote it? Was it cathartic? Give us some insight into it.
Yeah. So Rain was written during one of the like darkest parts of my life where I felt like I was just getting pummeled by life, but I didn't really feel like I could talk about it to the people around me because I didn't want to be like a buzzkill. So
Right.
I think that's one of the most isolating parts of depression is feeling like you have to pretend like you're okay when you're not. So Rain was really just a release. So it was super cathartic to, really sink into those feelings and dive deep and just get them out because I think that that's also really healthy after a while. And what better medium to express yourself through music? And it's tough to put a topic like that out, but I mean, obviously we all go through shit like that. So I think it's also important to kind of normalize talking about it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that there's the aspect of like not wanting to be a buzzkill, not wanting to be a burden to the people
Exactly.
around you. Then there's also the aspect of like fear, as in like, what if I tell people around me that I'm really struggling, and the
Mhm.
response I get is unempathetic, annoyed, or
Right.
like uh
Sean,
dismissive,
right?
anything that isn't basically empathetic and supportive. And
Exactly.
that's, yeah, and that's like a huge fear. And then there's even the like the third layer of it, depending on what your life is like in that situation, what sort of responsibilities you have to take care of. No matter how shitty you're fucking feeling, you still have to get up and like feed your kids, get them to school, drive to work, do all the things, not show your kids or like, other or people at work, that this is going on. And that there's this fear of like, what if I let it out even just a little bit, and then the like dam is broken and I can't stop it anymore and I drown in it and all this stuff. How is it going to get done then? And because you
Amen.
guys are in the States, the healthcare system kind of sucks, so
Yes.
you know So this is the dam breaking is a huge risk. What if I'm not able to work anymore? What if I'm not able to provide? So there's
100.
like yeah, go ahead, JC, sorry.
Yeah, and there's been a ton of people in my life, like at times where I have, opened up and I've been met with, like you said, it's like not empathetic. They're like, "Oh, you're a drama queen. Oh, always the sky is falling. Like somebody else always has it worse. You have no perspective." And like that's not helpful at all. Like just because your situation isn't necessarily as bad as someone else's doesn't mean that your experiences aren't valid. But it's really hard to see that sometimes when you're in the thick of something really dark and like heavy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I hate that narrative of like, well, that and that person has it worse than you. If that's the
Hmm.
freaking logic we're using, then there is one single person on earth at a time who has the right to complain and be sad and be unhappy
Right.
because they have it the worst, you know?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
then everybody underneath in that pyramid doesn't have the right, and that sucks so much because we have like different levels of resilience, different levels of support around us, different levels of just like skills and strengths that we are born with, that
Yep.
basically define how we can battle these things when they are landed in our lap. And it's not something anybody ever orders. Like, I wish I was like depressed, I wish I had awful crippling anxiety. These are not things people
Yeah.
sign
This is
up
so
for.
fun.
Yeah. And that's why it's so bad when you get those shitty responses from people, because it's not
Right. It's
something
like,
that
yeah.
anybody wants to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm already feeling negative. You don't need to remind me that I'm also doing that at the same time. Like I came to you
Right.
for support and comfort, and you're literally making it worse. So, yeah. So, like I said, so this song is really just about venting. So, even if you're alone in the car, you can work through some of those feelings in a way that's, a healthy, therapeutic. Like I said, just get in the car, screaming at the top of your lungs, and even if it makes one person feel better, I feel like I've done my job here.
How hard is
Yeah.
it to be so vulnerable?
Oh, tough because I am a super guarded person, but it's been like specifically when we did this last tour and I stood on stage and like talked about what the song was about and where it came from in front of a room full of people. It felt really like it was so scary. I was tripping over my words the entire time because it's just like you said, it's really tough to put yourself in such a vulnerable position. But at the same time, was also really great to feel super connected to everybody in that room at that moment and to help everybody feel a little bit less alone. And for everybody at that one moment to kind of come together, realize that we all deal with shit and just kind of forget about all the bad stuff that's going on outside of the room for just like a few minutes.
Right.
That is excellent. And like, that it's is when you turn to the wrong direction to the wrong person and you get a shitty reply in a shitty situation, it kind of skews your thinking and your view of other people in the world. Whereas like most people are understanding, most people are
Yeah.
empathetic, most people want to give you like a soft place to land if you're coming from a hard place. But that's the thing. Like maybe that experience sort of uh lifted that weight a little bit, hopefully, off of you, and
Yeah.
like reminded you that there is an abundance of kindness around us, and it's just
Right.
not always visible.
Absolutely. Like I said, it was a really cathartic experience. And like a lot of the times when we do writing, I always like to have like a hopeful note to it. But with this one in particular, I really just wanted to lean into the bad feelings because that's exactly what it feels like when you are in the midst of depression. You're not thinking about the good stuff. It's just everything sucks. It never gets better, yada, yada. So I really just wanted to lean into that side of it. And like you said, just put myself out there, be vulnerable and not try to have like, because sometimes you don't even want to hear that, oh, it's okay. It'll get better. There's always, the rain can't last forever. So I was like, well, no, it comes but never goes.
Yeah, yeah, and
But
that's like, how do you feel about this, JC? Because like for me, it makes it worse if I start like kicking myself over it and going like, well, this will be over soon, and then like the false positives like slapped on
yeah,
top of it as a plaster. That'll make it last longer. And
yeah,
if you just like raise your hands up and say that shit, like, this is where I am now, and I'm gonna feel like shit now, and I'm feeling it,
Yeah.
not gonna like try and pretend I'm not. And then when you allow it to sort of like wash over you, it passes sooner for me. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
about you.
exactly well, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say. It feels like I said, like I was going through a time where I felt like I was just getting pummeled, but I was still trying to have that false hope. Like, okay, well, that was it. It's gonna get better from here. Only up from here. All of that. But then, like, once you actually sink into it and you realize, no, I'm just in it, and you allow that, like you said, like once it washes over you, I feel like it's in that moment where you can finally breathe. You know,
Right.
and then you start to come out the other side because you
But
just are
this
accepting of
is a
what it is. And at that point, you just throw your hands up. It's going to be what it's going to be. You have no control of it. You have to stop trying to control it. And
yeah.
then that's exactly usually when I find that it starts to, at least get to an even playing field.
Right. And this is like a skill that has to be learned, you know?
Absolutely.
This
It is a
internal.
muscle.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. It is a muscle that you need to train and
Yeah.
just and give yourself that like really merciful internal monologue
Yeah.
where
Yeah. Just be kind to yourself and be like,
yeah,
it's fine. You got this. Like, you're depressed. That sucks, but you've done it before. You'll do it again.
right. And just like, give yourself those mental hugs and like just, be your own big spoon, basically.
I love that. Yes. I'm
That's
going to use
freaking
that. I'm stealing it.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, totally. Just tell everybody where you got it.
Got you. Cheers.
All right, so
First.
yeah, let's bring it back to the band here for a second. Are you guys planning on taking this out on the road?
Yeah. When we released the song, we hit the road for about 2 weeks. Like I said, because it was just really important for me to release the song and then go out and be able to talk about it, so people kind of knew the story about it. And I really like the connection of being able to do it face to face as opposed to just making like a blanket social media post, which of course you do that too, but to be able to talk to people and hear their stories and just kind of connect on a more personal level was really important to me. And so we have a couple more shows coming up throughout the year as well. But like I said, being able to play that song live has been a real sort of huge moment for me, just because I've never really gotten to talk so deeply to people about some of these issues.
What's that moment like when a fan either writes you online or grabs you after the show or at the merch booth or whatever and says, "Hey, this song I connected with it and it changed me or it helped me," or how does that feel?
That it never gets old, like it's somewhat unexpected just to hear that, a song can resonate with people so deeply, just being a fan of music myself and having that moment towards several of my favorite bands, to have that feeling be, reciprocated towards my own band is always just kind of like a mind fuck to me. But I love it, and I'm so glad that people reach out and decide to talk to me about it and tell me that they love it, for that it's helped them through something, or that it kept them from harming themselves, or all kinds of things. Of just that's exactly why I wanted to release a song like that. So it feels really validating and just really good, and I hope to continue to hear that stuff. As we continue playing it and getting the song heard by, as many people as possible. Like that's exactly why I do this.
Do you ever feel a sense of responsibility to your fans to get this message across, or is it just something you do for you?
I mean, I think both can coexist. Like it stems from a place of doing it for me, but being brave enough to open up about it is for the bigger picture, I think.
Rena?
Yeah. Well, now that like, well, at least here in Finland, we're heading to what we call Mordor season with no sun, and I just,
Oh
you
boy.
know,
Oh
yeah,
no.
it's amazing. It's amazing. Seasonal depression is totally a thing
It's
here.
real. Yeah.
But like, maybe you guys are gonna have more sun, but like, the end of the year is nearing. So what is your best case scenario for 2024? What would you like to see happen when we've
I
concluded 2023 and then you can start another journey?
Yeah, I think I'm just excited to be able to release even more music and stay out on the road, you know, and like I said, just be able to connect with people. That's really just what I love to do. So anytime that able to do more of that, I'm a happy girl.
Yeah, sounds amazing. There's also like in our notes, there's that you loaned your voice to a wrestler's entrance theme.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that project a little bit?
Yeah, it was actually really crazy. My manager at the time just hit me up and was just like, "Hey, I have a friend who needs a female vocalist for a wrestler in AEW. Was wondering if you could go in and knock it out for him real quick." So I hooked up with them and we chatted for a minute. I went into the studio the next day, sang it in like 20-30 minutes, sent the files back to them, and they literally played it in the arena that night. Like it was so fast how
Oh,
it all
that's wild.
happened.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's so badass.
it was just like it was like an online series at the time, but then she ended up going to like the main program, which was on TNT. So it was crazy to literally turn on the TV and hear my voice. That has never happened. It was like a big moment. I'm like filming it on my phone. Like,
Oh, totally.
and like I had a bunch of friends hit me up there like that didn't even know that I did it because I didn't talk about it because I wasn't sure when it was gonna happen. So like literally friends were texting me and they're like, "Is that you on TV right now?" I'm like, "Yeah."
That's
Just pat
great.
myself on the back a little bit. But yeah, it was really cool. The funny part was I kept getting all these messages from wrestling fans that were just like, "Hey, tell this wrestler I say hi." I'm like, "I don't know them. I'm
I don't
sorry. I
know
don't
any of them, right?
I don't know." And like I was asked to be on all these wrestling podcasts and I'm like, "I don't know anything about wrestling. I feel like such a poser."
That's funny.
'Cause that would have been my question. Like, is this something that you're really into? Like the wrestling thing, but no, they just
I
wanted your
know
voice.
literally know nothing about it, but it was really cool because Layla Hirsch, the wrestler that I did the entrance theme for, she's super sweet. I talked to her like through Twitter a few times, and she lives in the same city in New Jersey that my mom lives in. So I'm just kind of like, that's some stars aligning, meant to be, you know, vibes. So I'm like, I'm so happy to do it, and she was so grateful and so sweet. So I'm really thankful for her to have like such a great person to sing an entrance theme for. It made me even more excited to be able to do it because I have a connection to her, and now I just root for her all the time. So I feel like I have
That's
to.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're like slowly now easing yourself
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
yeah. You
wrestling
know,
world.
yeah, you can always learn something new and get into something that you didn't think that you just normally like your thing. So yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
really cool experience.
Yeah. Do you think it like translated into new fans or followers for your band?
Yeah, definitely. People definitely started to check out the band, and you know, a ton of people have messaged us saying that they got into us because they heard me on the entrance theme and wanted to know more of what we were about. And I was like, yeah, any avenues away.
Oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
JC, I appreciate you taking the time. If fans want to find you, how can they get a hold of you guys?
We're pretty easy to find, just a light divided at everything, straightforward, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. Spotify, please, Spotify, stream the songs, please.
Rena, you got anything else before we go?
Well, congratulations on some of the really, really impressive streams that you already have.
Thank
But
you.
then,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
perfect.
taking the time. That was beautiful.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I've had a lot of fun today, and my brain is prepped and ready to go for the rest of the day now.
Right.
Amazing. Now go sink your head in a bucket of coffee.
That sounds amazing, and I will absolutely do that. I am an addict.
Yeah. You and me both. Thanks for taking the time, JC.
Thank you guys so much.
Hey.
I hope y'all have a good one.
You do the same. Be well.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Later. Bye.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.